Hey, I'm back. This is Vernon talking about chasing time travelers. This is part 24. So we're talking about the answers or cues that the Torah code gave Drosnin. So Michael Drosnin was a journalist who became interested in the Torah code, and he published three books about called the Bible Code back in the 90s, I think it was. And he he passed away a year or two ago, and which I think is a very big loss. I mean, obviously, anytime that happens, but he knew a lot. And he was looking for the code key, which I'm talking about, and I think he got. It's just amazing all the information he had, but uh, he went to the Middle East to look for it, and I think he didn't find it because of the stone that would have told him that he was actually looking for. I think was from the Middle East, but it came to America like 800 BC. So anyway, so so continuing with the cues. So back up. So Michael Drosnin spoke to Eliyahu Rips, the mathematician. Mathematician Rips said, "By the way, this is not the complete Torah code." And Drosnin said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, he says you need a key to complete it. In other words, the 300,000 plus Hebrew characters is, and I'm paraphrasing now, is only part of the Torah code." So Drosnin said, "Well, how do I? What is the code key?" And Rip said he didn't know. So Michael Drosnin used the Torah code software to ask it what its key was, right? Um, and so when he did that, the first thing it told him was two obelisks, and and it told him it needed, it was on a farm in a mound that had become an archaeological site next to some dead bodies underneath an altar in a valley of limestone. Um, and all of those things, right? So Drazen went to the Middle East looking for that stuff and he didn't find it. But all of those important cues fit the Davenport tablets. So now we're at number 12. It told Drazen, that's why I keep putting his picture up, right? Because he's the one who was studying the Torah code who found this information out. That's why I keep putting his picture up, right? And so it told Drazen that he needed two tablets of stone. Well, if you look at the ones here on this image, you'll see that you'll see on the left, the stone on the left, you'll see two obelisks. So I made the argument that that's 9/11, right? Because it's, well, for reasons I said before, and um, and so you've got two tablets of stone. The stone on the right is actually the back of the stone on the left, but it's split in half. So so that raises the question, did, some being know a long time ago that that was going to split in half? Because it said two tablets of stone, it didn't say one. Let's look at the next piece of information that the Torah code gave Drosnin. It told him that he needed two iron vehicles. I don't know what it meant, but in 1877, when the Davenport tablets were found, there were two iron vehicles in America. There was the train on the left, of course, and that was the year that George Selden created the first automobile. I'm assuming some portion of the engine, at least, was iron, and and that was in Rochester, New York. So we had, two iron vehicles. And steel arc, an arc is the thing that transports other things. When the tablets were found in Davenport, they were sent to the Smithsonian Museum in Washington D.C. for analysis. So presumably since there were no cars back then, except for just George Selden had the one car right up in Rochester. Presumably they basically went by train from Davenport to Washington D.C. So I'm considering that to be a steel arc. Then the Torah code told Drosnin that the code key would be mathematical. Well, my argument is that the code key is the Hebrew letter Resh, what we would call the letter R, and Resh also represents the number 200. So in that sense, it's mathematical. The whole idea that I'm driving at is that um, I apparently, according to, if I understood Rips correctly from Drosnin's book, um, to get the complete Torah code, you have to expand it. The thing to remember about Hebrew is that the letters are words. So the letter A is actually Aleph, Aleph, right? It's like Greek. We don't in English we say A, B, and C, or we'll just say A, B, right? But in Greek they'll say alpha, beta, right? In Greek each letter is a word. In Hebrew each letter is a word. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zion. I can't remember all of them in order, right? I remember all of them, and so. But on average, each letter is 2.65 letters, right? So um, if you want to say A, it's Aleph. It's I mean, it's on average each letter is 2.65 is a word made of 2.65 letters each. Yeah, yeah. So, but the point is, my point is that if you see that equation with the m down there, the idea is that if you expand the Torah matrix 200 times and use that multiplier 2.65, then you wind up with a certain number of characters, and that's the size of what I will call the Akashic records, right? So there's a theory out there that the secrets of the universe, so to speak, are out there, and I learned about this when I was in Egypt for a week, and people were looking for the Akashic records and the Hall of Records and all this. And at the time, I didn't believe that stuff was real because it just sounds too fantastic. And now I think those things are true because I saw that Mayan stuff that I told you about. And so let's move on. And then the Torah code told Drosnin that the to make a long story short, there would be several languages on the uh, on the tablet that had the code key, and it had three languages, two types of Egyptian, one type of Punic. Drosnin did not say that the code key is Resh, but when he indicated on one of the pages in his book, um, he said something about the code key, and I just, since I can read a little tiny bit of Hebrew. I took a course in college, back in the 70s. But I found the letter Resh spelled out um, um, horizontally, vertically, and diagonally around the word code key. In other words, and it wasn't just like the letter R. It was basically like it was three letters to present the term Resh. So question, why isn't the code key the Rosetta Stone? Well, the Rosetta Stone doesn't have any obelisks on it. As far as I know, I mean Rosetta in Egypt probably had some obelisks, right? But um this just doesn't meet the criteria. Remember, it's got to be two tablets. It's got to have two obelisks. It's got to be buried but sticking up near the surface. It's got to be inside of an archaeological mound. It's got to be next to two bodies. It does meet the criteria of a message in more than one language. That's true. And it's got to be on a farm. And I think I said Valley of Limestone already. But in any case, from what I can make of it, the the Rosetta Stone doesn't check all the boxes. Now there are plenty of other stones out there, right? Thousands, I'm sure, but none that I know of that meet the qualifications that check all those boxes that Drosnin found. Thanks for listening.